my issue with the new atheism is that it was, in many ways, it was about mocking religious people. It was about mocking these stupid rednecks and chavs and Irish Catholics, which is my background, who believe in God, uneducated, ignorant people. And it was about basically saying that the idea that humankind is special, that we were designed, that we are above everything else, is a ridiculous idea. And what I want to do is find a humanistic way to make the same argument. I want to find, because I don't believe in God, and I am not a religious person, even though I was brought up religiously. What I'm interested in is finding a post-God humanistic way to say, yes, humankind is a superior species. We are different to every other living creature on this planet. There is something special about us. There is something wondrous about us. It's like I want to defend the idea of wonder, the mystery of how human beings are so incredibly intelligent and morally inclined. So the question then becomes, do you need God to do that? Or can you do that in a post-God environment? And I think that's the struggle lots of us are facing.
That's why I brought up the question, because when Jordan Peterson had me on his podcast, he grilled me about this for 3 hours, and we went round and round. I wrote a piece on my Substack recently called The Atheism Delusion. I don't know if you saw that. So I'm thinking about this quite a lot now, and it's my answer on a pragmatic level, forget the philosophical level, on pragmatic level is this. We have a society in which many people are not religious, and they also require the same things that we all require, which is meaning and purpose, a sense of right and wrong, a sense of what's true and false, a kind of orientation towards having some kind of investment in the society that they live in, and an orientation towards seeing it prosper and grow into the future. And to the extent that that can be achieved without religion, someone like me who's agnostic and someone like you who doesn't believe in God, we can, I'm sure, totally get behind that. The problem is, I do start to wonder, and my issue with the new atheism is that once you've taken God off the pedestal and you've put the superior, in your words, human being on it, who gets to decide what's true, right? Because I can pull out a scientific study that shows transitioning is helpful to children at this and the, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So once there's nothing that's kind of above us that we all take for granted, that's passed down to us, that is outside of us.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to then have people who differ politically agree on a certain set of values that are just embedded in society.
Yeah, I get that. My argument would be that the only way to understand truth or arrive at truth is through freedom. I know that might sound facetious, but I think that's a very real prospect and something that people should consider. I think people have been talking for a long time about the God-shaped hole in modern society. What do we do after God? How do we define what is right and wrong? Do the 10 Commandments matter anymore in the absence of God? So these are very real questions and very real issues that people are talking about and concerned about. But I think the point I would make is that, in my view, and I know this probably is offensive to religious people, all of those values, all of those kind of God-delivered ideas that people generally agreed on and still do to a certain extent, they really came from man. They really were written by man. I don't believe that there is a God. I don't believe that God did give tablets to Moses or hide in a bush and talk to Jesus Christ or anything like that. I don't believe that happened. So these are the creations of man in a very positive way. And we know that there is a close link between Christianity and the Enlightenment, and between the religious struggle for freedom of conscience and the right to express oneself and the right to believe what one wants to believe, and then the subsequent development of Enlightenment values, the freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, the freedom to think how you want to think. So I'm not someone who poo-poos religion. I was brought up religiously. I was brought up as a Roman Catholic. I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic schools from the ages of 4 till 18. I benefited from them enormously. I was educated by nuns in a school that was built around the bottom of this convent on top of a hill. So it was great. it was wonderful, and it benefited me enormously. But I do think that there has to be a way in which society, precisely through exercising its freedom to think and its freedom to argue and its freedom to dissent, can arrive at something that we can generally agree to be true.